welcome back to the channel. So today is day 11 of our Python for DevOps, where we are going to get started with understanding databases and relational models. Okay, and we are going to do that with proper examples so that it's easy to understand, right? Okay, so team, like this is my GitHub account, so complete documentation about Python as well as for other projects is existing here. Also, I would request you to follow me here. The reason, because if you want to practice with DevOps, so whatever projects you need, full stack projects, everything is here. Okay, and all the projects that I have added here, they are completely working fine. I have tested them. You will find .NET based projects, then Java based, Python based projects, all sorts of projects you will find, and Node.js and everything you will find. And as I said, these are completely tested by me, so they are working very fine. So you can just take it and you can work with it to practice your DevOps, right? One more thing, team, so on regular basis, almost every day I post on LinkedIn different kind of architectures that I used to work with in my companies. So this will give you a real-time example of how things happen in corporate from DevOps point of view. So if you want to learn more and if you want to get notified of these things, you can connect with me on LinkedIn. Link will be in the description. And team, if you are looking for direct connect to me, you can just join the Telegram channel. It's completely open. You can ping me directly. I'm available. Okay, and if you are having any doubt, issues or queries, you can just put it here. Me or my team members or anyone from my team will be happy to help you. As you can see, it's like very much active group where whatever people are facing issue, they just put it here, and me and my team member, we try to fix it. Okay, so yeah, this will be very useful for you if you join. Okay, team, yeah. So coming back, so let's get started with day 11, database basics and understanding database and relational models. Okay, right? 1 second, yeah. Okay, so first let us understand what exactly is database. Okay, so database is nothing but a structured collection of data organized in a way that it can be easily accessed, managed and updated. Okay, that means you can say it's a block which contains different sorts of data that is kept in a proper way, in proper managed and categorized way, so that if needed we can access it very easily. If we need to update it, that also we can do very easily, as well as we can manage it in a proper way, right? That is the main definition of database that you should know, right? So you can understand it's a structured collection of data in a proper way, right? Okay, second thing that we should know is relational models. Okay, so let me just write it down. Relational models. Okay, what exactly is relational model? That is the question now. So a relational model is a way of organizing data in tables with rows and columns. Okay, because even you can understand, if you are keeping things, for example, let's go to Excel. Okay, so you at this point, you know this, that whatever like in data usually we keep, if we have multiple kinds of data, different kinds of data, we prefer to keep it in Excel. Why? Because it is, everything is defined proper way in rows and columns, right? And let's say if I want to find this data, the data that exists here, very easily we can refer it by G12, right? And that makes it very much easier. Okay, so relational models basically refers to organizing data in tables and in tables with rows and columns, and that is what this is about. Even Excel sheet is completely that only, right? It's a table with rows and columns. Okay, and you can understand how easier it becomes, right? If we want to reference something that exists in here, in this location, we can reference it by K12, right? And like within less than 1 second, we can reference it, we can find the location of that file, right? So that is relational models. Simply you can say the way of organizing data in a like table format, a tabular format with which is having rows and columns, that is known as relational model. Okay, now one thing that you should know in relational models, so we have this, let me write it down. For example, as I told, we are going to categorize things in tabular format, right? Correct. So in here, when we are talking about categorizing data in tabular format, so this table we are going to call it as relations. Okay, we are going to call it as relations, and the rows and columns also we are having, right? So rows we have, so rows we are going to call as tuples. Okay, rows we are going to call as tuples, and columns we are going to call as attributes. Let me just make it size bigger. Yes, team. So this is what we need to understand first. Inside relational models, this is what we are going to call table, rows, columns, and uh, rows, columns, and tables. Okay, so table we are going to call as relations, rows we are going to call as tuples, and column we are going to call as attributes. Okay, inside relational models. Okay, now let's talk about what exactly are these. Even though I guess like you already know the definition, but still let us talk about it. Okay, so since this is already created data like table, so let me fill this something. Okay, let me fill, then I will explain you properly. Let me make it size bigger. Okay, so this is our table that we have created that is having some data in rows and columns. Okay, first thing, so let us understand what exactly is tables. Okay, tables or relations you can say. So it's a collection of related data organized in a rows and columns. Each table uh, in a database has a unique name. Okay, consider this whole thing as a database. Okay, so inside database we can have multiple tables, for example like this format. Okay, so these data tables may or may not be related, that is a different thing, but a database can have multiple tables. Okay, consider this whole thing as a database, and these are like the tables. Okay, and what exactly is a table? So table is a collection of related data organized in proper way in rows and columns. Okay, like this is like you can say rows, each horizontally when we move, that is rows. Okay, and when we move vertically, that is columns. Each vertical line is a column. Okay, right? Okay, so yeah, that is simple, very clear. Like tables, rows, and columns you already know, right? Okay, now let us talk about a very important concept which is known as keys. Okay, so let me explain you about keys that we have in our databases and tables. Okay, and that also we are going to understand through example, then it will become a little bit easier. So let's discuss about primary key and foreign key with example, because that's the best way to understand. Okay, so primary key, it's a unique identifier which can be used to identify each record in a table. For example, let's talk about employees table. Okay, so we have different columns and different things. Okay, employee ID, employee name, department ID, position. Okay, so if we are having employee ID, let's say I said I have employee ID 2, and I want employee name, department ID, and position of a person with employee ID 2. And the thing is ki each person will be having unique employee ID. No two person can have same employee ID. Okay, like two employees can have same name, that is possible. Two employees can have same department ID, because it is possible that they may work in the same department, that is also possible. Okay, and it is also possible that they may have same position, right? But employee ID of a person cannot be same to other, right? So that means employee ID, it becomes a unique identifier. Using employee ID we can get details of each record in a table, right? Okay, so that is primary key. For example, in second table, departments table, we have department ID as the primary key, because it's unique, and using a department ID we can find out the department name. Okay, because no two department name can have the same department ID. Okay, so here primary key, you can understand primary key is this one, and here primary key is this one. Okay, now if I ask you a question like uh, with what these two tables are getting connected. Okay, so if you notice, you will see that a common column between these two to establish a relationship is department ID here and here, right? So inside employees table, if someone asks key what is a foreign key, we will say it's department ID. Why? Because foreign key is a you can say a column that refers to a primary key in another table, and that's what here happening. This column department ID is referring to primary key in department table, right? So here if for this table, what we can say, let me write it down. Yes, so for this table, for let's talk about first table, which is employee table, right? So inside employee table, we have primary key as employee ID. Let me write it down. Primary key is employee ID, and foreign key will be, sorry about that team. Yeah, so foreign key will be department ID, right? Whereas when we talk about department table, so in department table, what we have, we will be having only primary key, which will be department ID. Okay, so now you understand what is foreign key and primary key. Primary key is going to be in each table, there will be a unique identifier which is unique for every person or every values. Okay, so that will be the primary key here. In employees table, primary key is employee ID, and in departments table, the primary key is going to be department ID. Okay, so when we talk about foreign key, how these two tables are getting connected, or you can see how the relationship is getting established, that is happening because of department ID, because it's common between the two. And here by definition we can see department ID from employees table is referring to departments table in the primary key here, right? So this is what foreign key is about. Foreign key is going to be the one that will establish the relationship between two tables. Okay, and that will be the common between two tables. Okay, and another thing that you should know, it will be referencing to primary key another table here. That's what happening. Okay, now you know what is primary key and foreign key, correct? Okay, now what I want to teach you is about relationships, not the that one. Relationships that will be in databases, which is there are three kinds of relationships. Okay, one to one, one to many, and many to many. Okay, so let's talk about that as well. Okay, so if I go here, let me just let me first copy these things. Okay, so there are three kinds of relationship that may present in a database. Okay, in a database, or you can say in a table. Inside table exists inside database. So yeah. Okay, so three kinds: one to one, one to many, and many to many. Okay, so now let's talk about relationships, which is one to one, one to many, and many to one. Okay, so talking about first one, which is one to one, which means a relationship where one record in a table is associated exactly with one record in another table. For example, here we have user ID, right? So considering this, because since it is the common one in both the tables, user table and user profile tables, and as you can see, each of them, they are associated with exactly one record in another table. Okay, and that is why this is going to be one to one relationship. Okay, now let's talk about one to many. That will make more things clear. So let us take this example and let me explain you. And yeah, okay, looking here, we have two tables, departments table and employees table, right? So in department table, we have department ID, department name. Inside employees table, we have department ID, employees name, and position. Okay, so one to many means one record in one table is associated with multiple records in another table, with which we can see through example. The value 1, department ID 1, is associated with two employees. Okay, because two employees are working in the same department, so we are having department ID as 2. That means the department ID which whose value is 1 is associated with two records in second table. Two records mean John Doe, Jane Smith, manager, sales report, employee ID 1 and 2. So department ID 1, it's going to be one to many relationship. Okay, because one record in this table is related with multiple a record in another table. Okay, simple as that, one to many. Again, we have many to many. From the name itself you can understand that multiple records in one table can be associated with multiple records in another table. Okay, from the example here we can see in many to many relationship, multiple records in a table can be associated with multiple records in another table. Okay, so let me show you that as well. Here we are having three tables, right? One is student table, second is courses table, and third is enrollment table. Okay, so here what is happening, one is first of all student ID is common here. Okay, and here we are having course ID as common, right? And same thing happening like many records from here and here, they are having many relationship in the third table. Okay, that's why it's many to many relationships. Okay, so yeah, now you understand what is one to one, one to many, and many to many, right? Okay, so let's talk about another keyword which is known as normalization. Okay, it's a very important keyword, so let me just write it down quickly. Normalization. Okay, so what exactly is normalization? That would be the question now, right? So normalization, it's a process used in database to design and organize database into tables in such a way that redundancy is minimized. Basically what happens when you have a very big table with so many columns, right? If you're having a very big table with so many columns and rows, what you can do, you can break that big table into smaller multiple tables. Okay, and you know, like connecting tables, establishing relationship between two can be done through foreign keys, right? So with that, using foreign keys, primary keys, what we can do, we can break down a big table into a smaller one. Okay, and then it will be much easier to access as well as manage the new table. Okay, so let me show you a proper example for that as well. Okay team, so understanding normalization now. So this is the example that I have taken, which is customer orders table. Okay, here we have order ID, customer name, order date, and total amount, and it's like a kind of big table having multiple columns. Okay, so using normalization, what we can do, we can break it down into small tables. Okay, how do we do that? So for that, what we can do is create two tables, customers table and customer orders table. In customers table, we'll be having customer ID and customer name. Okay, and this customer ID is going to be you can say a foreign key in our this one customers order table. In that way, a big table that we're having order ID like five columns, we have broken down into 4 columns separately and 2 columns separately. We have created a new column also, right? So in this way, what will happen, that it is much easier to manage this data. Okay, so basically in simple words, you can understand normalization is simply breaking down a big table into smaller ones so that it is like much easier to manage things. Okay, so that is normalization. Last thing that I wanted to give you a like brief overview about is SQL, which is a structured query language. Okay, so basically what is SQL? SQL is a domain specific language used for managing and querying relational databases. Okay, and relational databases you already understood, right? So SQL provides commands for creating, retrieving, updating, and deleting data from database. Now it is very simple to understand this. What exactly is SQL? So it's a specific language that will provide us commands using which we can modify database, we can create tables, delete, update, or do any kind of things with the tables present in databases as well as with database itself. Okay, some of the common commands which you might already know common SQL commands, select, insert, update, delete, create, like that. Okay, which we'll be seeing in future. Okay, so yeah team, that's all for today, and I hope this video helped you learn something. Okay, so thanks for watching and have a nice day.